Welcome to Bonehead, Harry Potter.
I thought this was bedknobs and broomsticks. You lied to me.
As you can tell today, we are joined by, ta-da, Haley.
Hi.
You're on the couch.
I am.
And a bowl of
Falling into the
popcorn.
couch.
And a bowl of popcorn, and here is my...
You can't lift that up.
I can't lift it up.
You
that
couldn't
far.
even lift it up even if it wasn't in church, let's be honest.
Oh, it's funny because it's insulting.
Do you know how long it took me to get down the steps
You
on a
don't
set
know
of
how long.
crutches to this? What'd
If
you
you
say?
were-
They don't know how long.
You started last Tuesday?
If
It
you
wasn't that long.
if you were Kane Hodder, you would have threw yourself down the steps and somebody would have paid you for it. That's right, Kane. Throwback.
All right, this episode we're doing Harry Potter. A big shout out to Christina Lewis for letting us actually use her Universal Studios electronic wand.
Also, you got that stick thing in your hand.
All right. Well, anyway,
Eh.
so we promised Harry Potter if you guys got us above 100 on YouTube followers, and it happened. It happened really. We need to go out and thank all those people. I think we've already thanked them several times.
But thank you again, because thanks, much like Joe, are cheap. Cheap. Thanks. See, I can keep
but
saying
off, but not given out rarely. They're cheap, but not thrown around rarely.
That's
So
true.
you think it's because thanks and me are heavy? So we're going to talk about Harry Potter today. Now, I don't want to tell you how I feel about Harry Potter. I think we'll discuss it as we go.
Yeah.
We've got two huge fans, and then there's two other boneheads.
Yeah.
Well, I think your problem is you didn't read the book. It's like I saw this movie called the Dark Tower. That guy needs to be shot. I would argue it's not too far off, and we'll talk about why that.
And I
is.
want to argue
Not
about
too far off from what?
From, I mean, once
From
you,
the book?
from everything that you've cut off, from everything that's cut out of Harry Potter, the stuff that you would like, the more adult stuff.
Oh
gets cut
no,
out
I
of
know.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter wasn't that butchered. Harry Potter at least has a. No, I don't think Harry Potter.
No,
was
no,
that
I'm just saying
butchered.
though. But when you actually start,
I
to
haven't
hear,
read it, but
when you
I
start
know.
to hear about what's cut out of the book, you'll probably enjoy the book.
that's
more.
seriously, that's one thing that I was wanting to talk about Harry Potter. Because I like Joe, I'm not the hugest fan of Harry Potter. In fact, you're going to hear a lot of confusion on my side for this episode.
As
But
opposed to
every time I shut up. Every time I talk to people. Every time I talk to Harry Potter fans about
What do you call them? What do they call
what do
themselves?
they call them?
Like if you follow
Potter nuts?
serendipity. Serendipity. I meant to say serenity. If you follow Firefly,
no, I'm a
you're
huge Serendipity fan. That's
you're
what
a big
Ryan Reynolds
Serendipity.
and
Oh, no,
I thought that
no,
was
no,
John
no.
Cusack.
That's John Cusack.
And Kate Beckinsale.
Oh,
That's one of the
sorry.
worst movies I've ever saw in the theater.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I screwed
Serendipity
up.
is a dog turd wrapped in feces.
Like of other animals.
Yeah, Joe's a sucker for Must Love Dogs. That's prime John Cusack. Is John Cusack in Must Love Dogs? I think he is.
That's Janine Garofalo, right?
I don't know.
Garofalo?
Anyway,
No, that's the truth about
cats and dogs.
That's not bad, actually.
No, it's not.
That one's
I was
pretty
about
good.
to say I will defend that
That's
Janine
pretty
Garofalo
good.
film.
That's pretty good.
but to finish my point,
You had one.
when I talk to Potter fans about why
What are they called?
I don't know. But
Potter
when I
nuts?
say
I mean, I've heard some
Potter
people say
nuts.
Potterheads.
What did you call them? Potter nuts?
Yeah,
Old man Potter.
Yeah, those are fans of Old Man
Mr.
Potter.
Potter,
If that
Mr.
George
Potter.
Bailey, if that George Bailey wouldn't have gotten in the way,
Oh,
he could have been
George
elected
Bailey.
president, and then we'd have a better country.
Right.
so anyway,
So say it's
when
the
I,
song.
but when I talk to people, when I talk to fans about fans of Harry Potter, they say, when I say I don't like the movies, they go, "Well, you should have read."
I hear the same thing. James
you
has said
should
the
have read
same
the
thing to me
books
for years. He
But I'm
said
just
it,
like,
what, 5 minutes ago?
If everybody's in agreement that the movies aren't that great, how come they made millions of dollars?
Have you ever seen the Transformers?
I was
Yeah.
going to bring that up. Yeah.
Yeah, you ever see? I'm trying to think of another. You ever see The Truth About Cats and
Grown
Dogs?
man naked?
You like gladiator films?
I mean, if they got Russell Crowe. Yeah.
By the way, that was the best ending of John Oliver ever. But anyway, go ahead.
I don't get the HBO anymore.
I don't anymore. We get cut cable.
But anyway. So, I'm with Chad. So I always hear, man, you should read the books. You'll love the books. Well, okay, so I was in college dating a lady. The lady.
No. Lady!
Dating
Right,
a lady.
Laban.
The lady said you should read it. I read part of it.
No,
and I got bored.
I got 4 pages into the Sorcerer's Stone.
I will jump in here.
I got past that, but I will
jump in and say when I first started to read The Sorcerer's Stone, I was in college as well.
Were you dating a lady?
There you go.
I was not. I was.
You know why?
I was alone.
Because you wouldn't lose that. Was that hurtful?
Look at these ankles, Chad. Look at those. Oh, look, fully working, both of them. No pain, no nothing.
Actually, I'm not in pain right now.
I'll run up and down these stairs in a few minutes.
God, let bucket sit.
You need to do that as the voice of the little robot, the robot Tinny Tim.
Tinny Tim. Please, sir, I have another Percocet.
Anyway,
I've got to finish this Harry Potter episode.
I was like, are we ever going to get to the first movie?
What I was going to say is, now when I started to read Sorcerer's Stone, I was in college, and everybody else loved it, and I had to pull back from it, because I couldn't get into it.
Was it the lady or the book?
I told you there was no lady for me. Why do you keep bringing up how lonely I was?
I'm a dick.
Anyway, what I was going to say, though, is a couple years later, I started with the third book. Somebody said, "Well, skip the first 2 because they are to kind of introduce you to the world, but you're not going to be lost."
The third book is that's Goblet of Fire, right? Third book is
third book's The Prisoner of Azkaban.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
So I did.
No, Azkaban.
Jesus Christ wasn't in Azkaban.
Jesus has nothing to do with this series. It's nothing but devil worship.
Oh my
Have you
God.
not listened to the people in the jean skirts?
I thought it was hip hop.
Long hair, jean skirts, worshiping devils.
I thought it was hip hop was the devil's music.
Everything is the devil's music.
Anyway.
If you really tried.
Polka?
Bonehead.
Anyway,
the more you know.
Anyway, what I was going to say is, somebody said to read that one and then go back and read the other 2. And that one was real easy to get into, and then that's exactly what I did, and I read them throughout. So I will agree that...
So you try to go find the easy one, and then that's where you bust it. And then later, life is easier trying to get the harder ones.
Your metaphor.
I don't know that I do either. I will sit here and eat my popcorn.
But, that being said, the fact that the Harry Potter books are stupidly successful, and that J.K. Rowling is the 9th best-selling author of all time, with some caveats. We don't have numbers for Cervantes, Charles Dickens, Arthur Conan Doyle because they serialize theirs.
Yes.
But
I watched his television program with that guy that looks like an otter.
Sean Connery? Sean Connery did... Oh, anyway. What I was going to say is...
It's a really obscure Graham Norton joke.
I know.
There's a whole means to how Benedict Cumberbatch looks like an otter and all the different otters that do different faces. And by the way, it's pretty spot on.
I can see it, yeah.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, I didn't know this. I didn't know she was that highly ranked. Because the people above
I would imagine, though.
Yeah.
I was shocked at people above her, though, because it wasn't the people I would have thought. And this is throughout history. So,
all right.
I mean,
number 1...
Jesus.
No, Willie the Shakes.
This is the top 8 before J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, William Shakespeare. He sold over 2 billion works. I don't think he's getting many royalties these days. 42 books. He's considered as having wrote 42 books. Agatha Christie is number 2, also with 2 billion.
Really?
Yes. She did it though in 85 books. So Willie the Shakes by.
I didn't know Agatha Christie had written 85 books. All the same damn plot.
How can William Shakespeare, their plays, how can they be considered books?
They put them in this,
they
it's like hardbound and then it has paper.
They're like magazines, Chad. They got lots more pages.
That's cheating.
Oh, I'm sorry. Why don't you call Willie up and yell at him?
I will.
Dig his dead ass up.
Barbara Cartland, who
that's probably his bones probably aren't in his grave.
Barbara Cartland, who I believe is a romance novel author.
Yeah.
But she's
never heard of her.
She sold 500 million. Some under I believe a pseudonym. I could be wrong about that. I could be getting my data wrong. But it took her.
Who is she? What does she write?
I think romance novels. I'm not sure.
Which one?
I don't know.
Did she write When Harry Met Sally?
Yeah, that one.
Well, no. What gives a turkey? Who's the next one?
720 books it took her to get that far. Number 4. Speaking of romance novels. Danielle Steele.
Oh, Danielle Steele's number 4? Good for her.
120 books to get to number 4. 500 million books sold.
I finally know who somebody is. That's good literature right
so
there.
you're saying you didn't know who William Shakespeare was? Huh?
I don't know that you know.
Harold Robbins, 23 books.
Harold Robbins, isn't he the guy that tells everybody to have high self-esteem?
No, that's Tony Robbins.
Father of Tim.
George Simeon, which is French and Belgian author, you won't know. Enid Blyton.
Did he make any waffles?
No, but he did sell. He had to write 570 books to sell 500 million copies. Enid Blyton, 800 books. Hobbies. 800 books to sell 400 copies.
What did she write?
Books, Joe. These are books.
I don't know.
Sydney.
That degree in literature is useless.
It's in English education. Sidney Shelton wrote 21 books, 370 million. To be
Sidney
honest,
Shelton?
Yeah.
I know who Sidney Shelton is.
And then J.K. Rowling.
I'm surprised John Grisham wasn't in that time.
Well, that's what I thought. Because that was, okay, so you go from there, though. It's what shocked me was the people below J.K. Rowling. Because Gilbert Patton was 10. But then you get in 11 is Dr. Seuss, who has written 44 books.
That makes sense.
And only sold 100 million copies, though.
Really?
Yeah, I literally was sitting there going,
that's a bunch of horse mess.
Well, some of his books don't sell well anymore.
Why? What about all the places you're going to effing go?
Well, a lot of his books that he wrote when he was younger are a little racist, so they don't sell well anymore.
Yeah.
And a lot of the Dr. Seuss Presents books weren't actually by him, so you take those away.
What's your next one?
What actually shocked me was somebody that we've done multiple episodes on.
Never heard of him.
R.L. Stine is number 17. 430 million books.
And Stephen King is still...
I'm sorry, 430 books. R.L. Stine wrote 430 books. I didn't know that.
That Slappy sure does like to write.
Dean Koontz is number 18. And you don't get to Stephen King till you get to number 22. I thought Stephen King would be higher.
Dean Koontz above Stephen King?
He's written more books. I thought, because I was like, there's no way. But Dean Koontz has written 91 novels to Stephen King's 70. So by sheer number of novels written, he outbeats Stephen King.
We'll just make that the plot of Stephen King 6.
Yeah. Dean Koontz's revenge.
There won't be.
But anyway,
shod that horse.
So J.K. Rowling has written a lot of things. She also does write under a pen name of Robert Galbraith, and that's where she writes mystery novels. So,
oh, yeah? And she also wrote that one picture that didn't do well.
Are you talking about The Casual Vacancy? That was a book she wrote.
No. I think I got it confused with something else.
Yeah, I was going to say.
You did. But
who was the one that did the one thing? I'm getting off topic. Go ahead.
Anyway, Robert Galbraith, she's written 4 detective novels. The Cuckoo's Calling, The Silkworm, Career of Evil, and Lethal White comes out this year. I believe this month.
Lethal what?
Lethal White. It's a detective series about a plainclothes detective. But J.K. Rowling got started originally as an Amnesty International bilingual secretary and researcher before she wrote Harry Potter. So there you go. That's trivia about J.K. Rowling, the author. Take it as you will.
Okay. So let's go through. We've talked about she's the number 8th or 9th. Which one number was she?
9th.
She's the 9th top-selling author of all time, according to some BS list you found on the internet.
Well, the list of book lists that track sales, yeah, that entire thing.
So the first book is called Harry Potter and
the Philosopher's Stone.
The Philosopher's Stone.
See, I even got that wrong. I almost said the Sorcerer's Stone.
But it is called the Sorcerer's Stone in
America.
America.
Why?
Because we don't like philosophers. That was actually the thought, was that if it was called the Philosopher's Stone, people wouldn't know it was a fantasy book.
But in the movie, it's called...
They filmed it both ways. If you get a UK PAL edition of the movie, they had to. That's one of the things, if you watch the behind the scenes, they talk about. They had to film anytime they used the stone, the full title of the stone, the Philosopher's Stone, they had to dub it again and say the Sorcerer's Stone.
So, is that just North America? Is that Canada? Is that America? Is that Mexico? Where is that at?
I think it's North America, but I'm not absolutely sure. Yeah, but they were really worried. I mean, Scholastics was smart enough to say, I don't know if kids are going to buy into a philosophy novel.
Huh. I mean, okay. I just wanted to point that out, but I'm right, right?
Yeah.
James, have you read both versions?
I want to. I have, because I saw one that was.
How
a
about we
Philosopher's
fix
Stone.
you a book? Every time it says sorcerer,
It says...
Chad's gonna white out that out
Yeah.
and write philosophy.
He'll misspell it.
Well, yes, but that'll make it even more engrossing.
Why does
Philosophy.
who?
Fillasoftme.
Why? Who is Philos,
Philosophy.
and why does he owe this fee?
So anyway,
It's Philos' fee.
so the first book was
Screw
The
you,
Philosopher's
Websters.
Stone. When it came out in America, it was The Sorcerer's Stone.
Yep.
The movie came out as The Philosopher's Stone in England,
Yes.
and then came out as The Sorcerer's Stone in America.
Yep.
Correct?
And the Philosopher's Stone, the book, when it was originally printed, they only printed 1,000 copies
Uh-huh.
and gave 500 of those to libraries. So if you run across one of those original 1,000,
Steal it.
it sells for. They usually sell for thousands.
So steal it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not going to say steal it. What you should do is actually take it and then send it to me, and I'll make sure it gets into the proper hands.
Of eBay member 572.
So don't steal it. Launder it.
Yeah, launder it. Yeah, absolutely. Good job, Haley. Haley, how did you get into Harry Potter?
A lot of my classmates growing up were told by their parents they were not allowed to read Harry Potter because there was magic and
And I don't mean to bring this 360,
you can.
but how were you educated?
I went to a Christian school.
A private
Yes.
Christian school
Yes.
that said that was the devil.
My mom, apparently I lucked out and got the best mom ever, read one and was
Stop sucking up to her. She's not getting you anything for Christmas. You're almost 30.
she was like, this is amazing. You have to read it. Get the whole series. So I had the mom that encouraged me to read it.
Okay. So, did it make you want to read it more? Is that what you're saying? It's like forbidden fruit of this has got the
It was
devil in
never
it?
forbidden for me.
Well, I mean, when your other friends weren't allowed to read it.
I don't think it was as popular at the time. I don't
God,
think they
have
cared.
you ever just, what's the word?
You would be a lousy journalist trying to make up leads here.
I'm
I
just
will
asking.
say, my school,
When are you going to rebel?
we were not allowed to have Harry Potter, but there were Stephen King books in the library.
Yeah, that boggles the mind.
Just saying.
Listen, Pennywise is for the children. He wants you all to float.
Really, Pennywise is for children.
He
Yeah.
wants you all to
Tasty,
float.
tasty, fear-riddled children. Yes, absolutely. So they wouldn't have Harry Potter, but they'd have Stephen King.
Uh-huh.
What, did they? If they didn't have Harry Potter, did they have? What's it called?
Salman Rushdie?
Where she robbed most of the rest of it. Oh, it's called Lord of the Rings. Did they have Tolkien?
They did.
Does that one make you feel extra snooty?
Yes.
Just checking.
Should never have given it to me for you
No.
people who are listening to
explain why you
iTunes.
have it and Chad does
I have an
not?
iTunes wand.
Who does?
Woohoo! I just made the subscription go up.
Who gave? Who?
Oh, God.
Who gave Dumbledore all them Hostess pies? Remember when the Incredible Hulk used to kill gang members and then eat Hostess pies at the end?
Hostess pie and some just for men.
Blink, blink,
Ah.
blink, blink.
No, go on with
I'm
your
slowly going gray.
go on with your story, Dumbledore. I mean, what?
I just think it's that you all have different aspects of how you want to attack this. I think culturally that's interesting to me. I'm taking all jokes aside.
No. Well, and it's one of
And
those.
do you all not find that fascinating or interesting? And how many picadillos and bullshit rules and all this other stuff? You can't say. Reminds me of my father. You'd hear the F word on television when I was a kid, and I've told you this story before,
Yeah.
and you hear the guy say, "Did you hear what that son of a bitch said?"
Oh well, no, I literally always got strong language shows a weak mind, and then 20 minutes later he couldn't fix something.
This
in the
piece of
garage.
shit won't come off his car.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and,
right. Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, no,
It's so bullshit. It's all bullshit. Keep going. Sorry.
The
Sorry to kill it.
where were we?
So
Who
you
am I?
discovered it as a young lady.
Yes.
How old
I'm
were
sorry.
you again?
Probably 10.
10. So there was an educator who, when I was young, and my mother was very much like your mother in the sense of I was never told not to read anything. So
Right.
he actually told my mother, doesn't matter what he reads, just have him read. Right? And I don't. Obviously, you came from the same kind of background.
Yeah, I mean,
probably you too, right?
Yeah, well,
Unlike you though, my parents didn't say, "Well, it's a forum, it's penthouse forum, but he's reading it. Let him go, let him go."
Oh.
And then he put on the frog mask, and things got interesting. The heck?
Anyway, you were saying.
real quick.
Speaking of chocolate frogs.
I'm gonna tell a funny censor story real quick. So my mom did censor me a little bit. You know, she would watch a movie, and if it was questionable, she would watch it and say, "Okay, you're not watching this." So in one weekend, she watched the movie Hardware, which is a really low budget horror.
Richard Stanley, if you want to come on the show, please, we'd love to talk to you.
It's not that bad.
There's a great documentary about Richard
anyway,
Stanley and the making of Dr. Moreau.
Yeah.
Check it out. Go ahead.
But anyway, she said, "You're not watching that. It's awful. You can't watch that. Here's Predator 2."
Well, no,
Well, Predator 2 has less sex in it.
Yeah, but
That's the only difference.
Yeah, but there's a scene where they're all like naked and hung upside down.
Yeah. But it doesn't probably have a guy masturbating.
Yeah, no.
That's probably where she draws the line.
Yeah,
The flip side of this, and I think I've told the story before, but my father was much more worried about my younger sister. But it was always
Well,
foul,
he loved her.
It was always foul language that he was worried about. So Sleepy Hollow was perfectly fine. I remember she was about 12.
I agree.
And he literally said, "Well, she needs to know if somebody takes an axe to her head, it's going to roll off." I literally hear him say it now. And
I probably was more censored about foul language and stuff as well.
Yeah, I mean, as far as it never books though. It's so funny. Like you could have.
I don't know that I would censor my son on books either, but I definitely probably would be a little bit more. I feel that I'm going to be more protective of the intake than my parents were.
And speaking of Harry Potter, back on Harry Potter. By the way, we really need to start talking about that first movie. But do you think how it got past a lot of adults letting their kids read is because of the fact that the artwork on the front of the book is so childish? It's a very child. But then you open the book and there's death and.
And
the books go, and we should probably mention
the book does start with death. I mean, he is the boy that lives.
That's true. But the books, and one of the most brilliant things that she ever did was grow those books with her.
And that's why I had to start with the third one.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I could go back.
So I have done a little research. She did grow those books with them. They got more and more dense, more and more dark as they went. So let's go ahead and start with the Sorcerer's Stone.
What?
Go ahead. You want to talk about the movie or the book? Well, we've probably mentioned the book. Are you guys good? You have your own show over there? You
need.
There was an incident.
Oh my God! Do I have to go to court? Well, Haley, you got anything you want to say about the book before we start? Before we let these heathens jump into the movie?
No, let's just. Go.
Okay.
Do you know who was originally going to direct the movie?
Yes.
Who J.K. Rowling wanted to direct the? Well, who did J.K. Rowling want? Because originally she wanted all British, which is hilarious because she still didn't pick anybody British.
Who'd she want to?
She wanted Terry Gilliam.
Oh,
that would have been fantastic.
That would have been an interesting movie, but it never would have worked.
And you know who actually stopped her?
Who?
The studio. The studio went, no. We need somebody family friendly, and that's how.
Well, that's what I was going to bring in.
So then it went Spielberg.
It was going to be Spielberg, and I think the story goes that her and Spielberg never quite, and it's not an argument, but they never quite meshed their vision of what that would be, because his was, as I recall, was a little bit more fantastical than hers.
Well, and she said that...
Or is it flip?
She gave an interview where she said that, despite rumors and all of that stuff, that she never was, she never said she didn't want Spielberg. That despite some of that a lot of that has been blown out of proportion, but it was just an issue of...
I think he has said before that he could have done it.
Yeah.
And that I don't think their visions meshed of what it would be, because he made a comment that if he only directed movies for money, because that's been thrown at Spielberg before, and we'll eventually do a Spielberg episode. So it's been thrown at him before that he would have done Harry Potter.
Oh yeah,
because it was going to be huge. It wasn't that. I don't think it was the right man for the right job, even though you think that would be great. And I don't know that they got the right man for the right job. I think that's another problem for the first two movies for me.
Yeah. I think one of the things about it is...
I really don't. And we'll talk directors as we go. I don't think they got the right man for the right job till the fourth film, in my opinion. It's the only one, but anyway.
I think the feel of...
Or woman, person, director.
The first film, I think it captured something. But again, this is one where, and as we're going to talk about as we go, between actors and their issues and everything else, you could argue, because it's going to happen. They're going to reboot these films, and I'd say
eventually
it's going to happen.
Although I don't know that they'll ever find a more perfect, specifically for the three. What do you think?
I don't think they're going to find a more perfect Hagrid. I think that was and I think that's
he was the first
Rowling. He
was the first. And who played Hagrid?
Robbie Coltrane.
Robbie Coltrane, that's right. Thank you. And by the way, for people who are watching on YouTube...
Nuns on the Run.
Robbie Coltrane, who also has Eric Idle on it. I will be looking at this, and it's really simply because I usually have a note a list. It's just too much.
No, it's like trying to do all the Stephen King books. It's too much.
It's just too much. So if I look at the iPad, it's not that I'm ignoring other people as we go. It's just too much. But anyway, like I said, I don't know how would you replace Daniel Radcliffe?
Well, I don't know, and I'm saying I think
as the two big fans of the book, was there a better choice for Harry Potter than Daniel Radcliffe? What do you think about that casting?
I like the casting. I think he aged well with the role, but he does not have the green eyes.
And that's it. That was the one he was supposed to wear contacts. I was going to say that's one of the big actor issues because the books make such a big deal. The reason he looks like his mother is she had green eyes.
I have green eyes.
They had to cut that.
Maybe I could have played Harry Potter.
Well,
this is a part where one of you makes a fat joke.
Oh, that would just be cruel. Give him a chocolate frog and calm him down.
Oh, is there one around? I would like a chocolate frog and a mug of butterbeer, please.
So yeah, no, I mean that was you're absolutely right. That was one of the big
really
things.
For you, Chad.
It's like wrong book.
I got your illusion. I just chose to ignore it.
I'm used to it.
But that was one of the big things that was an ongoing thing in the books that had to be cut because they tried to do Daniel Radcliffe green contacts and he couldn't do it. He started having major issues with his eyes, so they had to cut all of that stuff and they didn't want to go and pay to digitize, every scene that he was in.
Well, and this came out in 2001.
It would have been
It would have cost
really
a fortune. Yeah, right. In fact, that's one of the things Chris Columbus says about the first movie that he really regretted, was that he didn't think that they ever got the visual effects right, that they were too hurried, and that it was something he really wanted to concentrate on in the second one, because he never thought it looked as good as it should have, because they were always trying to make that release date. Yeah. And that the visual effects in the first one. I didn't go back to rewatch the first one. I wanted to. And I rewatched several of them for this, but that's one of them I didn't get to. I was going to ask you all, does it hold up as far as visual effects? Chad, you just rewatched it. Does it?
No.
Does it look bad?
No. I mean, it's boring.
No, I'm talking about the visual effects.
I didn't watch that one. Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Forget it.
Let Haley enter that one.
Well, yeah, I'm just curious because it was one of his comments. And by the way, Chris Columbus was picked for this. He was the one who was going to direct it. This, by the way, was what you call a plum assignment. Everyone knew this movie was going to be freaking huge. Yeah. Chris Columbus had made a couple of bombs, one of them being Bicentennial Man. If you're not familiar with him, not only is he the writer of Gremlins, he directed a little movie called Home Alone, which made him a celebrity director.
And then at the other time, if we've learned nothing else from the film Dogma, it meant that he sold his soul to Satan.
Right, absolutely. And that's fine, because he's
doing okay. He's doing okay.
Yeah. But he was the
Dogma
director.
reference.
And I like Chris Columbus movies. I like Only the Lonely. I like Only the Lonely.
Yeah.
Actually, I like Scenes of Bicentennial Man.
Bicentennial Man's not a bad movie.
No, but it's not.
It's a poor man's Jacob the Liar. You know it.
Ooh, that's obscure.
Yeah.
That is obscure. Yeah. Anyway, back to Chris Columbus. I just don't know that that's the guy I'm going to pick for maybe one of the biggest, other than Lord of the Rings.
But one thing, and you talking about it, I think
fantasy films of all time.
I think the thing that he nailed, and
I'd love to have seen Terry Gilliam. Now you've got that in my
head.
Think
about I literally the fact that J.K. Rowling, the author, went, in an ideal world, I'd love to see what Terry Gilliam would do it, and I'm just like, I'll never be able to unthink that. But I think the studio was right in letting Chris Columbus do the first one. In that, I've watched it several times with my kids. It is very much a family fantasy.
It's very much a family fantasy film. All right.
And to be honest, and you mentioned the casting earlier. I said Hagrid would be hard to recast. The other one that I think would actually be hard to recast.
They'll never be able to recast Richard Harris.
Actually, I can go off an entire rant about that. But McGonagall, you're never going to beat Maggie Smith. Yep. Sorry. I don't care who you cast.
Really? Is she that close to the character in the book?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like it was written for her?
Really?
Yeah, and she just
Dame Maggie Smith.
Yeah.
I just love hearing Ian McKellen always doing his Dame Maggie Smith.
Yeah, no, I love when he's up there alive and he's just a shameful, chubby Judy. He goes off.
Anyway, go ahead.
But no, I think that when I think about the characters that I'm like, oh, I find great. It's Maggie Smith doing McGonagall, and Hagrid, Robbie Coltrane as Hagrid. I mean, I think this is the only two that literally I can't think of. There's never going to be anybody that come along. Like, I will be watching the remakes with my grandkids and be like, Robbie Coltrane did that better.
Yeah.
And then
I
they'll go,
that.
Granddad, you died at 70 or at 60. Why are you here?
Why are you a ghost eating popcorn behind my head? Get out of here, Granddad Ghost. He's a ghost. He's a granddad. He's deader than hell.
Hey, we'll write that. Fox,
Dead Granddad
Warner
Ghost.
Brothers. Oh, that's right.
Isn't that redundant?
By the way, if you want to get the taste of Ghost out of your mouth, we guarantee Granddad Ghost
won't make it any better. So, what else do you want to say?
Can we get rid of that and call it Poltergeist Pawpaw?
Poltergeist Pawpaw.
That's going to be your trauma cheap Jack Ripper.
I will say, I think all of the adults are well cast.
Yeah.
There are some that would be really hard to replace, but everyone, at least in the first movie, I feel like is well cast.
Alan Rickman.
Alan Rickman.
Because that was her pick.
Yeah, but he wasn't the studio's first pick.
That was J.K. Rowling's pick. Who was the studio's first?
Tim Roth.
Tim Roth. Ooh. I actually think I knew that, and I forgot. But she was Alan Rickman. That J.K.'s pick was Alan Rickman.
Now, Snape in the book should not be Alan Rickman's age, but I would have trouble seeing anybody else in that book.
Well, the issue is that not only was she... And Chad, I don't know if you knew this. I don't know if the other two of you all knew this. But not only was that her pick for Snape, he knew things that were going to happen in the books later on that she told no one else.
Yeah, so he knew that he could
act a certain way, and he would know it. The directors didn't know. The writers, screenwriters didn't know. Only he and J.K. knew about Snape.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I found that fascinating as I was reading up on it. That she went. Not only was that her pick, because who does that? No one tells that.
The only other thing
no one took Luke or actually they took him aside before they shot the scene and told him.
The only thing that came even close to that was the only thing that Daniel Radcliffe asked J.K. Rowling that was anywhere near that. He said, "Does Harry die at the end?" And I think this was after he'd filmed like the second or third film. He's older, and she just said, "You do have a death scene."
Oh.
And I was like, yeah, that's a good answer that addresses it but does not.
Yeah.
Now, Alan Rickman, even when all the movies came out, somebody asked him, "What did she tell you?" And he said, "I'm still not going to say. I promised her I would take that to the grave."
And he did.
To say, yeah.
He did.
She's done it again with another actor.
Who?
Jude Law.
Really? What did she tell him about Dumbledore?
I don't know.
Don't know?
Yeah, he's refused to say, but he says he knows details that are relevant to the upcoming Fantastic Beasts movie.
Which, by the way, I know that they were saying the sequel's not doing as well in America, but I hope that, and they would, knock on wood, they all get made because I'm fascinated by that franchise already.
Well, we'll get to that. So, what else did we want to talk about the Sorcerer's Stone?
Sorcerer's Stone, a couple things that got left out. Peeves.
Yep.
Peeves is a poltergeist.
And what happens when you talk?
No, that's your pet peeves.
It peeves me off. There you go, Chad.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You feel better now?
Peeves is...
You shouldn't. You should feel like less of a man.
I do.
I don't know what he's talking about. He's all man to me.
Peeves is a poltergeist and plays... Matter of fact, actually, if you played the video games based on the movie, Peeves are in them.
Really?
Yeah, they like when they did the Sony PlayStation game, I remember I played it and I was like, Peeves is throughout that.
But we've talked about adapting books from movies throughout Bonehead now. This is going to be episode... So, that being said, we've talked about it quite a bit, and we're getting close to the holidays, right? Go out and buy all your Bonehead memorabilia. But they're all swag.
Hashtag blessed.
Hashtag blessed.
Hashtag feminism.
Hashtag Patreon's coming. Anyway.
Hashtag fund us, please, God.
We need the money. That being said, you can't... We've talked about it. It's two different mediums, right? So we've discussed this ad nauseum with Mr. King. But you're going to have to remove characters. So as a person who's watching the movie, did I miss it that much? Because there's another famous book that I love that Chad and I watched in the theater together called Ender's Game. And they finally made the movie of Ender's Game. And I looked over at Chad at the end of it, and he's like, meh. And I knew, and I don't remember if we had this conversation, is that I had such a deep emotional impact because of, I love that book by Orson Scott Card and what Ender goes through, right?
Yeah.
But Chad didn't have that by watching the movie. And I don't know if I'd have redone it. I hope I would have done a slightly better job of making you feel the misery that Ender goes through. But once again, I praise that movie better than I would have if I'd have never read the book.
Well, yeah, and I think that's
once again,
it goes back to, and I've had this conversation with you all before about Game of Thrones. Like, I love the Game of Thrones show,
but I feel satisfied watching Game of Thrones show.
But you haven't read the books.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I haven't read the books for Harry Potter. I never left a Harry Potter film going, woo! I have ended an episode of Game of Thrones going, bam!
Yeah.
That's my argument to that.
But no, Peeves, Peeves plays some pretty major roles. And I may be misremembering this, so correct me if I'm wrong, Haley. But doesn't he, he's one of the reasons that somebody gets turned to stone instead of killed because it goes through him first? Am I making that?
I think it goes through Nearly Headless Nick.
Okay, I knew it was one of the things.
Nearly Headless Nick, played by Eric Idle. Let's just see if anybody else gets a piss.
Do you have who was going to play Peeves?
They filmed a scene with Peeves, and it got cut, and I forget who played him.
Rick Mail.
There you go.
Who was that?
Who was that?
I know him from Shock Treatment.
Is he the bald guy from Shock Treatment?
You're doing better now?
Yeah.
I don't know why I said the bald
I get it. She made him a Shock Treatment. I see what you did there,
the bald
Chad.
guy from Shock Treatment is what's his face?
I feel like this is
Richard
all
O'Brien.
Richard O'Brien. I totally screwed that up.
Sir
And I
Richard
Let me
O'Brien.
move my foot out of your way before you
sorry.
said. For anybody out there wondering and listening, why is Joe keep moving his foot? He had surgery. He apologizes. My ankles. My cankles. I had my cankles
So I agree that
removed.
Peeves would have been an interesting character to see, but I don't know that
It adds
he was
anything?
crucial. He would have added some humorous moments.
Well, he's the only one that ever made fun of Harry Potter constantly. I don't know.
He
Obviously,
makes fun of all except Dumbledore.
yeah, but he called Harry Potter. He always called him a nutter
Why?
Yeah.
because he's a poltergeist who's a prick. What do you want to know, Chad?
Pee. Got enough peas there. I just wanted to do it.
But no, he's like I said, he's basically he
Poltergeist plasma prick.
he causes a lot of mayhem. Like, he's basically the ne'er-do-well of Hogwarts, and he just does stuff just for the purpose of aggravating people. I've been reading the books to my kids, and he's not another foil to Malfoy. I mean, he's not another Draco Malfoy, but he's just, I don't know. I think he adds something. Like, when I read the books to the kids, it stops it from just being Harry versus Draco and all this other stuff. It's, by the way, he also has to deal with this.
That being said, when are we going to move on to the next movie?
Well, I want to bring up Peeves and all that stuff, but yeah, we can bring up. Go ahead. Let's go to the next one.
The next movie was Harry Potter and the Cash-In Golden Hen.
Oh, real quick. The other thing that the movie cut out.
The Chamber of Sequels.
The merchandising.
We
where the real
call
money
it
is
the Bank of Franchise.
The other thing that
It is gilded.
the other thing that did get cut out of the film is that the Sorting Hat doesn't sing.
No. Why doesn't the Sorting Hat sing?
I don't know.
That's
Sings,
a long song.
sings all the time in the books.
Yeah.
No.
New song each year.
By the way, the first two movies are written by Steve Close. Steve Close wrote most of them. I just wanted to throw that out. He didn't write, but we'll get to those as we go
The
along.
other thing is that I do want to throw out about the Sorcerer's Stone that is relevant.
What?
Didn't J.K. Rowling write these?
Not the screenplays.
The other thing that I do want to throw
Which
out
is
about the
what's different
Sorcerer's
about
Stone.
Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah.
I'm just
That I
trying
do
to
want.
keep Chad in this.
Yeah,
It's written by J.K. Peterson.
because Chamber of Secrets is where I'm going to go. I want some of the things explained.
Well, no, I was going to say, the other thing that was changed in J.K., that was changed from the book in the movie that is relevant a little bit is you get more of Harry Potter's longing for family, because when he looks in the mirror of desire, it's not just his parents.
Oh, okay.
He sees his extended family that he never got to meet because of the loss of his parents and everything. So it makes him feel that much more isolated, and that doesn't play as well in a film when it's easy to say, oh, he just misses his parents, but when he sees literally an entire lineage that he's been robbed of.
Oh, okay.
So that's the other thing I did.
Yeah,
want to
that
point
would be
out.
a nice character piece to put in there.
And the other thing is they rob Hermione of her big scene.
Which one?
The one where she solves Snape's puzzle.
Yes.
That's the other thing that as far as development of Hermione Granger, they mansplained her up, and Ron gets hurt.
That's my biggest problem with Ready Player One, and we'll deal with that at the end of our year episode of things that came out.
But Ron gets hurt playing Wizard's chess. In the book, Ron's a big boy. He can take care of himself, and they leave him. And Hermione has to solve the next puzzle, which Snape has put in a protective, basically a potion puzzle, and Hermione solves
It's
it.
a potion puzzle.
And then it leads to the question, should she have been in Ravensclaw, all of that stuff, and all that, is she sorted well as well? And it gives her more of a backstory, and it makes her, being an insufferable know-it-all, be like, oh, that's actually a good thing. But they cut that out of the movie. And
Oh, okay.
to be honest, I would have rather seen them cut Wizard's Chest, though that is easier to film.
It is. I believe that the reasoning was watching Hermione look at 7 bottles wasn't going to be as visually appealing as Ron and Wizard's Chest.
They should have added like Timmy, the apprentice wizard, who could go in and just drink from one of them and pull a Indiana Jones face melting scene. That's how I would have handled it. Don't know why Hollywood ain't called me.
The next movie is...
I wanted to bring that up because that does actually deal with Hermione and
It's The Chamber of Secrets, which was also directed by Chris Columbus. It's also written by Steve Kloves. It came out... Did it come out exactly 2 years later? I think so. Yeah. No, it was 1 year later. Well, that's a quick turnaround. It's pretty quick.
I'll bring on this.
What are your questions about The Chamber of
let's do your
Secrets?
questions.
Who the hell's Tom Riddle?
Oh my
He's
goodness.
Voldemort. Did you not watch the movie?
But I get that. But why the hell is he Voldemort? Why isn't he called Tom Riddle?
Okay.
Why is Aragorn?
I know. Why is Strider Aragorn?
Yeah.
May I borrow your wand?
But that's
Don't reach it to Chad.
Don't let Chad touch it. No, Chad. No.
Yeah.
No.
I'm not that tall.
Here,
today.
yeah, you could touch my stick.
So, his name... No. His name was Tom Marvolo Riddle.
Tom what?
Right, Tom Marvolo Riddle.
Marvola.
Yeah, Marvolo.
Oh,
As he writes
I
out,
read them
he writes out
comics.
Tom, like his full name, does the spell, and it rearranges to I am Lord Voldemort. He did not want to keep his Muggle father's name, so he made an anagram for himself. Not an anagram, but another name, similar to another character we'll talk about.
I was
going
to say it's not an anagram because there's no V in Tom Riddle.
So Voldemort's
Marvola,
dad is a
Marvola.
Muggle,
Yes.
and so was Harry Potter's.
Harry Potter's mom was Muggle born. She was not a Muggle, though.
They were both wizards.
They're both half-bloods.
But how? So they're both half-bloods, which equals one blood,
But Voldemort hates half-bloods,
even though he is a half-blood.
largely due to he hates his Muggle family.
Yeah.
Well, that
That's
don't
not the
make
movies.
that don't make
gonna
no.
hold
Why
on.
would one hate oneself?
Oh.
I don't know. Could it have a historical reference?
Uh-huh. What
Anyway.
other questions do you have?
That was the big one.
You didn't
That's
pick
it?
up on that by just watching the movie?
No, I get why he's
Literally
Voldemort. Wait, is that?
draws it out.
But I don't understand it. Why? So the
his
magic.
birth
So there's
name-
magic that gives him.
No, his birth name was Tom Riddle, but he wants to distance himself from his father.
Nobody's
who he
gonna scare
hates.
some dude named Tom.
So
Well,
I
I'm
am
Tom
Lord
Turkey.
Voldemort is an anagram for what?
I am Lord Voldemort, Tom Marvolo Riddle.
Tom Mavola. See, I think she's really stretching on that.
Yeah,
one,
that's.
I'm just saying.
Why
not
did that
to
have
take
to be-
anything away from JK.
Why did that have to be? That was confusing
No,
as hell.
when you catch up on book sales, you will meet with her, I'm
Why
sure.
are you being hurtful? You still trying to finish that book? You still
working
trying to
on
get
it,
that
yeah.
novel published?
Yeah, I'm trying.
Anyway,
So there's a new character that we meet in the second one, Gilderoy Lockhart.
Yes.
Who's that?
He's the new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher.
now
By the way-
he is played by.
Yes.
By the way, the Defense
He
Against
is
the
played
Dark...
by yes. Thank you.
I can't pronounce his name, so
The
you
entire band shows up and does the role. They take turns.
All right. Oh, and we also got one of the worst characters I have ever hated in film history. By the way, it's Kenneth Branagh. I had to look up
Oh,
Branagh.
Kenneth Branagh. That's
Kenneth
right.
Branagh, who, by the way, is considered one of UK's greatest Shakespearean actors and directors.
I was
But
saying
is
directors, yeah.
Lockhart is supposed to be absolutely gorgeous. Would you consider him to be the most attractive man in England?
Hell yes.
Well,
All right,
okay,
then.
so I'm not
Jude Law was busy.
his type, or he's not my type. We were kind of talking it out. But he is a good director. I did enjoy his Murder on the Orient Express, although other people poo-pooed on it.
I liked it.
I showed the kids the original one, Sean Connery and all
If
those
you
great
it's,
people. Yeah.
right.
Okay.
It's the same thing.
But no, I was about to say,
His Perot.
I-
How do you say it again? Perot.
Perot.
It's
Perot.
not Perot. It's Perot. You have to say it in a weird way.
Pot row?
Pot row.
James, keep talking. I gotta fix the cameras.
Okay. Anyway, you were saying
I think
so I could poo-poo on one of the worst characters of all time.
I think Lockhart. I don't know who I would have cast. I mean, meeting the British requirement and doing all of that stuff.
This guy right here. I'm the defender of the dark arts.
Did When did you just become a deaf character? That's what I know.
Helen, water! Water, Helen!
Fire bad!
No, but honestly, I don't know who I would have cast. I think Branagh plays the
Branagh.
cocky, whatever.
Kenneth Branagh.
I think he plays the slimy, cocky,
He does.
useless human
He
being
does.
so well.
But I do not think that is a three-dimensional character.
I would say.
Not
the movie.
I would say in the movie, I will agree.
In the
I'm going
movie,
with
that is
Carrie
not
Ellis.
one of Kenneth Branagh's better
You're right.
performances.
You're right. Maybe that Carrie Ellis would have been the way to go.
Oh, Carrie Ellis.
That would have been, yeah.
Now that, are y'all done bitching about him?
No,
I
think
kind of
it's
like
fine.
him actually.
Oh, I don't care. You done bitching about him now?
You just want to get on to Dobby, don't you?
You don't steal my thunder, James Thomas.
Oh,
Hey, Dobby?
Oh, that's
I
okay.
hate Dobby.
Why do you hate
Played by
Dobby?
Toby because he's freaking annoying.
I'm sorry that the.
Sad.
You were sad.
Later, we'll
Someone
just
we'll get to it later, but someone
I
said
was
okay.
joyous.
I'm sorry that the representation of the downfall of colonialism
Oh
gets to you as a
my
white man.
God, that character is so annoying.
Okay, tell me
and
why
he's
he's
talking
annoying.
in the first person and the way Toby Jones plays him. And I love Toby Jones. Don't get me wrong. Toby Jones probably gives one of the better Hitchcock performances of anyone I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, I actually think his Hitchcock and his Capote are better than the people who got a lot of recognition
Yeah.
for it. One of them would be Philip Seymour Hoffman as Capote. The other one would
Sir
be
Anthony
Anthony
Hopkins.
Hopkins, whom I love and like the movie, but not as twisted and evil as Toby Jones.
Jones,
Toby Jones is much better. Sorry. All the love to Toby Jones.
And he
Please come
plays
on
a
over.
talking computer like nobody else.
That's
true.
Right. I love Toby Jones. I think he's amazing. That being said, I hate Dobby. Dobby, just the way he does it, the way his inflections in his voice, it is the most annoying piss-on
But
character
yet
I've
you
ever
have a
seen.
mural to Jar Jar Binks.
I do not have a mural to
He has a mural.
JJ. Jar Jar Binks and the whole Gungan race can burn in hell right behind Dobby. Actually, I don't know. Dobby's probably... I need to rewatch
Dobby,
it.
I would
hate
say.
Dobby.
Here's
God, I hate Dobby.
as a character.
I hate house elves.
Well, some of the house elves are dark and twisted.
Well,
creatures.
yeah, of course, because they're all effing horrible. I don't know. Honest to God, I remember watching the movie thinking this is the most annoying character. Probably right behind Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, Jar Jar is worse than Dobby to me.
Dobby is annoying. He's annoying in the books, but he's
See?
well-intentioned.
She agrees. So
He
somebody
means
take
to
a
his
sock,
ends are
put it,
annoying.
gag him in the mouth, slice his throat. That way he can live on in whatever hell he chooses.
So anyway,
Isn't it a sock that gets him out of this? Something to do with masturbation.
They have to be given an article of clothing because they're denied
So
clothing.
a sock is clothes.
It's basically commentary on slavery, commentary on all that stuff.
Well,
because
I'm so sorry.
She did work for Amnesty International.
Yes,
Unlike
the commentary fails on every level.
That does bring up a good point. He is presented with clothes by his master, who is played by...
Harry Potter.
The guy who's
Jason Isaacs.
Nice.
I love Jason Isaacs.
He's excellent in these movies.
He's Malfoy's daddy.
And he refers to
Yeah.
it as his Britney Spears wig.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Jason Isaacs, by the way, is another great
Great.
British.
Yeah.
These movies are, and we didn't even.
And he's great in The Death of Stalin.
I haven't got to see the Death of Stalin.
I've heard nothing but great things about him as Captain Lorca either,
No,
which that's on my list.
yeah.
But anyway,
I could just sit here and just read and read and read
But
all the
what
great British actors.
what I want to say though is, I think Dobby is a character because I
Yes,
agree.
he is. You're absolutely right. Dobby's a character. What a great statement. Thank you so much for adding to this show. This show could not be better without you. We lost you, and now we've got you back.
I think Dobby as a character fleshes out
Genius.
in the books. I think Dobby as a character fleshes out more of the hierarchy because you have the house elves, and then you have obviously the trolls, and then you have who works at the bank?
The
Goblins.
Goblins
Ha ha!
Nice.
and all of that stuff. So I mean, I think
By
that
the way, that's one of the best parts of going to Harry Potter Land in Universal is walking through Gringotts.
yeah,
He hasn't read the books and he's been there.
yeah.
It's called cash and a job.
Oh my God.
It could get you liquor. Could get you butterbeer. Get you go down to Universal, ride the Simpsons ride several times in a row. Get you almost throw up.
Oh, and you got enough of it, it'll make you throw up. But then you got people
Absolutely.
to treat that noise. But
going.
what I was going to say is, I think Dobby, as far as all that stuff goes, it really fleshes out kind of the hierarchy. It does always leave me with questions of, we know that some of those creatures can be magical, right?
Yeah, this show's going to go
This is gonna be long.
long.
That's okay. We'll just get through the third
We'll
one.
clip it through. We'll clip it in the middle.
But we know that some of the characters, I mean, because Professor Flitwick.
Mhm.
So why are there more humans? Is there ever? I don't remember if it ever explains why there's more human wizards than any other species. Does it ever go into that?
I don't think it does.
So J.K. Rowling, I'll write the background story for you. You don't need
Anyway.
me. You don't need me. But that's what I always wondered, because you got Professor Flitwick. You have a few of them that are non-humans, but most of them are humans. So I
Never
mean, the
thought about
hierarchy
Flitwick.
of the creatures kind of is relevant, and the house elves have been the people that have been.
I know, I'm going cross-eyed too, Chad.
The house elves have
I don't
been.
know how we got here.
Which actually,
Let's talk about
also,
John Hurt.
Also cut from the
Just him
books,
and
though,
Alien.
He's not in
is
the second one.
also cut from the books. Spew.
That's what I did after I wrote that Simpsons rap.
But I will say, I don't know the Spew needed to be in the movies.
No, but I think it's one of those things that
If you ever need to be in a movie.
Spew, bitch!
I just have a friend who used to say that when you get drunk. Just like that.
Spew! The Spew is a society for the promotion of elfish welfare, which was created by Hermione Granger to give voice to the voiceless.
She discovers.
And then the
elves.
little bastard talked and wouldn't shut up. And look, what do you get, James?
Are you going to make me say the elfish MBA? What do you want?
That would work. I thought you were going to say you're tried and true. Next thing you get, the WNBA.
That's terrible. Terrible. Anyway,
That's
but no,
Stockton for being funny.
I think because I have a daughter and because she loves Hermione, reading the books.
And you like fundamental.
Reading the books, my daughter loves that Hermione is much more spelled out. There, that was for
That
my
duck in the ball
daughter.
is not exciting at all.
Hold on,
There's 3 people out there getting that joke.
let me do the Family Guy reference. Does
Chad is about this. Pew!
let me do the Family Guy reference. Does making hundreds of dollars a year matter? I don't know. That's for the fan to decide. Yay!
So
Terrible. Terrible.
Back to what you were saying. What
So,
else
no.
did we don't talk about the Chamber of Secrets? I really found the character, we've made a lot of jokes. I wasn't exaggerating when I talked about Dobby.
No,
Just want
I get
everybody
it.
to know.
I
out
get
there.
it.
He's useful, but I can see
He's
the
Well-
annoying side.
extremely annoying.
But it's one of the things too. It's the same justification I give, and it's going to sound like I'm going off on a tangent. Same justification that I give for why Iron Fist as a show works for me. It's because I would imagine if you dropped a 12-year-old off and told him he knew kung fu, he'd come back pretty insufferable. And it's the same way with Dobby. If you denied him everything and then he gets freedom, he's gonna keep popping up going, "You saved me!" I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Right, very annoying. Very annoying.
And so I think the fact that he's given it's a justified form of annoying. I can fully understand that, yes, but I
Chad
think
is checked out, by the way.
No, I'm
He's looking at the
I'm looking something up.
I think Toby Jones. I think Toby Jones does him justice as a character, but he is meant to be because he gets Harry Potter in trouble all the time.
All the time, trying to save Harry.
Trying to save Harry and going against, literally going against it until he's freed, the wishes of his owner. And I don't know if you know anything about American history, but there was a time when if you went against the will of your owner in America, that didn't go well for you either.
Absolutely,
too
especially if it was Jason Isaacs.
Dobby has to punish himself.
Yeah.
Don't we all?
He has to wound himself every time he does anything against his owner.
I need to be spanked, and spanked often.
And I want to do the entire body python scene now. And then I'm going to stop.
The spanking! Yes,
Should we move
no.
on to the third one?
Please, God.
Let's go on to the third one. So, Chris Columbus decided that he wasn't going to direct them anymore. He pretty much had an option to keep on directing. Chris Columbus, we could have had the rest of them.
At one
with Chris
point,
Columbus.
he was quote unquote able to direct all of them. It was going to be the same cast.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he decided to bow out and produce the next one. He didn't want one quote I found was that he didn't want to miss the raising of his children.
Right.
I don't know if that's true. That's a quote.
Later on, his wife informed him those weren't his kids.
Yes. Which messed the whole thing up. It was not
I
enjoyable.
don't think that's true, but why not?
They went on a search for a director. Now, do you all know who was not the who was a front runner for this? Guillermo del Toro.
Oh.
Guillermo would have liked to have directed later episodes once it got darker.
Darker, yeah.
He's the one who recommended a guy named Alfonso Cuarón, who directed You Tama Bien. It's a road trip with a great threesome
Y
scene.
tu mama tambien.
Yes.
And your mother too.
Wonderful movie. Great. Yeah.
They went on to direct other great movies like Children of Men and
Gravity. Which was, by the way, produced by David Heyman, who is the producer of all these films and Fantastic Beasts.
which is a documentary on Sir Isaac Newton.
No, that sir is that
Hey.
that is the same thing as I have. That movie was called Gravitas.
Now,
But the other
Gravitas.
the other thing about this movie
Gravitas.
as well is
go ahead.
Dumbledore.
Dumbledore died.
Yeah, Richard Harris died and was replaced by
You know why he
Danny
died?
Kingsley.
No.
Do you actually know his cause of death?
no.
He was sick.
It see, someone left a cake out in the rain,
Yeah.
and he didn't know if he could take
Nobody
it.
out there, hopefully Mick
'Cause it
Strawn is
took-
listening to this right now
because
screaming
it
because of the
took
argument you guys got
so
into.
long to bake it, and he will never have that recipe again, Chud.
Again.
But
It's
and,
also written by Steve
and who replaced Richard Harris in the
Michael Gambon.
Close. Michael Gambon.
You know,
But you know who was
Dumbledore.
But you know who the first pick for Dumbledore was?
Sean Connery.
Ian McKellen.
Ian McKellen. Do you know why Ian McKellen turned it down?
He didn't want to be a wizard.
No,
he'd already been a
he'd already
wizard.
been a wizard, but Richard Harris
It's
thought he was a
a
crappy actor.
That's true.
That's why Ian
I looked
McKellen
it up.
turned it down.
I looked it
Oh,
up,
really?
finding that. Yeah,
Yeah.
Richard Harris thought Ian McKellen was a terrible actor.
Yeah, and so Ian McKellen took it as, well, Richard Harris didn't think I was worthy of his shoes. I'm not going to do it.
And Ian McKellen did say he had already
He'd already been a
He had been, in my opinion, the greatest wizard. I'm sorry.
Merlin.
Magneto.
There you go.
Merlin is the greatest wizard. I mean, if you're going fictional,
He was already the greatest wizard as a Gandalf the Grey. Not the white, the Grey.
yeah, he phoned it in. It's a lie.
No, but it's a totally different person
No,
in
I
a sense
know.
of way. But
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
it's
no, I
Gandalf
get
the Grey. Well, my favorite wizard. And
Well,
I mean, that
as I
is a
say.
lot, by the way. You're already... let's not forget he is Magneto.
Yeah.
And he'll be Magneto.
Oh yeah. I mean, I like
Michael
what's his name?
Fassbender has
Yeah.
done okay, but he's still not
Not Ian
Ian
McKellen.
McKellen.
No.
Nor does he try to be Ian McKellen.
And
which
nor
would be
should
a
he.
mistake. No.
The biggest mistake they could have
Nor
made
is
with
he Lance
First Class
Henriksen.
is
And Lance Henriksen's right out of there.
but you know, I didn't know that about Ian McKellen, but I honestly think, and no offense meant to Michael Gambon, because who am I to judge him? But I do kind of like Richard Harris better.
Well, Michael Gambon plays him a little kookier, and he
Yeah.
gives him more jewelry. And
I
things
like
that-
Michael Gambon. I like his.
Actually, that was the best meme I've seen. I've got to say this real quick, because they had a meme, and it was Jude Law in his 3-piece suit. And it was just somebody going, JK, I'm going to need you to answer a question in the next Fantastic Beasts movie. When does Dumbledore go, you know, this 3-piece suit's nice, but when do I get the jewelry and the wizard robes?
I liked his portrayal
I
of
do too.
Dumbledore better because I felt Richard Harris was just kind of there.
And
was-
phoning it in
he
and
was-
just kind of doing a kind
Yeah.
of Arthurian thing. And
but
I
I
agree.
kind
I
of
think
like-
he's more of a three-dimensional character. Is Michael
But see,
Gambon.
I like the fact that Dumbledore is kind of elusive.
As opposed to the weird kind of
Yeah.
jewelry kind of thing.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Richard Harris just...
Hey, pimping ain't easy.
That's
They
true.
actually kind of fit the Dumbledores for their books. I mean,
that's
Richard
true
Harris
too.
is not meant to be an action star. Like, Dumbledore's behind the scenes. He only shows up on occasion. By the time you get Michael Gambon, you've got Order of the Phoenix. I don't think Richard Harris could have done that.
No, I
fight
don't
scene.
think he could have either. That would have been some CG stuff because he couldn't have done the fighting. You're right.
The other thing that Alfonso Cuarón changed, and I haven't looked this up, I just remember, was he took them out of their school clothes.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Which a lot of
He put
people...
them in street clothes for that movie,
A
and they
lot
let
of
him
people
do it.
were
And I pissed a
upset.
lot of people off.
A lot of
I don't know if
people.
you knew this or not,
Mm-mm.
but if you go back and watch it, they're not in their
Yeah, yeah.
Azkaban
That's
They're not in their
Prison,
Hogwarts
I
robes.
know,
They're
I
in
Hogwarts.
Hogwarts.
jeans, jumpers. Yeah,
Yes, they're not in those. They're in street clothes. Correct?
they're in their jeans now.
Yeah.
He also changed the visual look.
Uh huh.
He basically rebuilt Hogwarts and his look they kept for the rest of the movies.
And it connected, whereas it never connected before, too. All of the ways that things connected, it didn't connect before. He actually made Hogwarts connect. and he never read any of the books or seen the other 2 movies. Guillermo was the one who's like, no, and then he said, "Are you stupid? Do it. Read them." That's the world's worst Guillermo del Toro.
Wow.
Yes,
that was the world's worst Del Toro, but it was a fair to middling Columbo.
Yeah.
I just want the most question.
I was gonna say, quick, stab him in the eye.
I'm Peter Falk.
Joe's method.
Give me a whole bonus. Why does he do Peter Falk? That's not Peter. I'm Peter Falk. And it's me in the jumper.
Okay, so 2 things. I think this movie got 2 things exactly right, and they totally missed the ball on 2 other things.
Okay, because I have a criticism of it too.
Okay.
Appreciate
Imagine that.
Gary Oldman, perfect Sirius Black.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Gary Oldman's a perfect anything.
Fair.
Gary Oldman is
Except
good.
not a perfect husband.
He wasn't a good midget.
He's not a perfect husband.
Oh, okay.
Go back and read his history.
I don't want to now.
No
I
doubt.
don't really particularly care. Keep going. He is
David
perfect
Thewlis?
at everything.
David Thewlis, perfect Lupin.
David Thewlis?
That's my favorite character.
Yeah,
in the entire
yeah, I
series,
agree with
and
that
the
too.
casting was perfect.
And what's his name again?
David Thewlis.
No. The character name?
Lupin.
Remus Lupin.
Lupin. And what does he turn into?
Yeah, this is a little on the nose.
A little, but yeah.
Do you know why
Yeah.
it's Remus Lupin, though? Why his first name is Remus?
Because she was a huge fan of banned Disney films.
Oh.
Thank you, Chad, for being the one who laughed at that.
No, I got it.
That was a laugh on my part. That was a laugh.
I like being controversial.
Anyway,
Romulus and Remus.
Truckee fan.
Oh.
No.
Oh, Jesus.
Moving on. I'm not even going to finish. Go ahead, Haley.
No, keep going. Romulus and Remus.
The-
Romulus brew up. Brew up.
Brew up.
It does when it becomes ale.
No, it plays off.
Oh.
It plays off on the idea of the moon cycles and all of that stuff. And if you know astronomy, Remus is one of the moons. Blah blah blah. It goes into all of that.
I think you mean astrology. I'm just joking. Keep going. I'll shut up.
I'm a Taurus, which means I have to beat you down. Sorry, written in the stars, Joe.
It was written in that he's going to horn me.
But anyway, yes, no, that is. Got 3 cups. Somebody go. Somebody go.
they also got Trelawney. That reminds me. Divination. They put that in there. That kind of works.
Yeah. Oh crap! Who plays Trelawney?
Emma Thompson.
Emma Thompson. Emma Thompson.
Emma
as
Thompson,
Trelawney.
who had been married to Kenneth Branagh. Funny how she showed up the movie after.
Anyway, the things they got wrong. I think the Marauders map was not at all explained in the movie.
The Marauders are not really
Right.
covered in the movies.
And they should have been.
That's
It's such a crucial plot point.
Because that's one of the things that even my wife says. She goes, until she started to read the book, she always said, what is Harry's mother's
Lily?
name? Yeah, what did Lily ever see in James?
Right.
Because you don't get the backstory about the
What did
Marauders, you don't get anything
Dana
like that.
seeing James.
But do you know who wrote
Working ankles, for one thing.
Oh,
Do you know who wrote the Marauders
go over
map?
there and do your Irish dance, sir.
Maybe for the promo.
What was the question?
Do you know who wrote the Marauders map?
The Marauders.
No.
That's why it's called the Marauders. The Marauders are Lupin.
Lupin, Sirius, James Potter, and Peter Pettigrew. And
Oh,
not explained in the
PP.
movie at all.
Oh.
That could have been done in 1 to 2 lines, easily, at the end when Lupin's handing him back the map. Could
I
have
was
been
going to say, and it's got their names on
Right.
it,
And
but
there's
if you
vague
don't watch
references
it.
to it, like later in the movie they refer to Sirius as Padfoot, but not enough that people
Yeah.
who haven't read the books will pick up on that.
I was about to say, and that's it. So that's one of the things about the movies that, I mean, they did leave out the entire Marauders, and you find out that, I mean, I prefer the Fantastic Beasts movies, but you could almost do an entire prequel series about the Marauders, which was that group, and how they were mischief makers, but also had these other things going on.
Yeah, because I felt like that whole relationship wasn't explored, because it was just all of a sudden like Sirius Black is there, and now he's Harry Potter's surrogate father.
Yeah.
There was no connection. There was just like all of a sudden there it is. It happened.
Well, and he was, I mean, in the books it goes into, he was named his godfather, correct?
Mhm.
So, I mean, that was at his birth. He was, and yeah, that's one of the things that the movies don't capture as well. And then, like I said, by leaving out the entire story of the Marauders
Yeah.
and their role and things like they do, it loses a lot.
Because that was one of the things that was one of the things I was going to bring up about the movies is that whole relationship. I was just it felt like it was kind of forced.
Yeah.
In the movies.
Yeah, I was going to say, and that's it. I have a better appreciation of the movies having read the books.
Right.
So.
The other thing that to me is left out, Quidditch is in it, but Oliver Wood is not. And that is Oliver Wood's big storyline is the third one.
Who's Oliver Wood?
Another excellent character from the series.
He made that movie about JFK.
That's just a personal grievance.
Okay. My grievance with the film is
We
this.
can ask that.
Yeah.
No, I mean, of course it's beautiful. It's an Alfonso Cuarón film. Of course the acting's fine. I think it's slow.
Yes.
And that whole repeat of the third act twice because they're going back in time and rewatching.
Yeah.
Yeah. My daughter's favorite thing, by the way, is time turn.
There had to be a better way to do it because it repeats and it just gets... To me, it slows down to, as just a fan of film, it slows that movie down to
It literally
a
gets
crawl.
repetitive.
It is so repetitive and it's so boring to me watching it. I rewatched it before this and had the same problem. Hadn't saw it in years. Hadn't saw it since I saw it in the theater. I'm sure I saw most of these as they came out and then I stopped. It just got so repetitive. Chad, what did you think?
Yeah, it got repetitive. That was my biggest issue. Well, I had several issues with all the Harry Potter.
Of course, I probably have problems with Back to the Future being a little repetitive.
Yeah, but,
as well.
You
Part two.
shut your whorish mouth.
It's like-
But yeah, no, I mean, the movie was okay watching it through, but then they got to the whole time travel thing, and I'm just like, when is it going to be over? It just kept happening.
It just keeps happening.
You know, and I think that's one, again, I think the book does certain things better because it begs the question, like, you know, if you just watch a film, why don't they just use this to go back and fix everything? Why don't
Right.
they do stuff like that? And the book, of course, is a much better window into, okay, here's how this works, here's why I can't do certain
Right.
things, and you don't get that in the movie, because if you just watch the movie before we read the book to Amelia, she was like, couldn't they just, even Amelia at, you know, age 8, was like, couldn't they just go back and,
You know,
stop him from killing, you know, everybody, and stop Dumbledore, you know, the Hitler scenario, just... Oh, Voldemort fell down the stairs. Whoops. Tom Riddle done died. All right, then. So,
now, who's
yeah.
Tom Riddle?
It's Lord Voldemort.
Actually,
And we've been saying that wrong according to J.K. Rowling.
How does it pronounce?
It's Voldemort.
Yeah.
The T is-
Voldemort. The T is silent.
The T is silent. And she said she didn't say anything till all the movies were done.
Right.
And then she goes, well, technically, I always meant for the T to be silent. And I was like, oh, come on. So when they remake it, Voldemort.
and on that
So,
note, go ahead.
Question.
Yes.
Along that plot line possibility, if they're all looking for Sirius Black, why don't they just send him a letter, stick it with an owl, and be like, take this to Sirius and track the owl?
Because if they give the ring to one of the Eagles, the books will be over. We gotta watch the Hobbit suffer.
And the other side of it, though, and that's the other thing, too, because
That's your answer.
when the Fantastic Beasts, the Crimes of Grindelwald trailer came out, I saw people blow up online going, they're apparating at Hogwarts. You can't apparate at Hogwarts. It's protection by spells. And I was like, okay, A, it's a prequel. B, it's a movie.
See, I think that rule didn't come into play until Dumbledore was headmaster.
Yeah, I was about to say, and that's
Anyway,
but I would imagine Sirius has
Does that mean
something
just
going for it.
appearing when they do the swoosh?
yeah,
Actually,
basically you just, go from
I
one
think they
place to
need a
another.
humidifier.
Actually, isn't there a line in there that kind of talks about that Sirius has some sort of protection
I know.
on it?
I'm letting him go. I'm letting him
I'm just
go.
like-
I read the books recently to my daughter, so
Yeah,
not.
we're good.
Yes,
We'll
yes,
probably wrap
yes.
this one up in the
Just keep
episode,
telling
but
us how
yeah.
you're a better dad. We all know.
No, I mean, listen, your son needs to
I
learn
mean-
from Penthouse Forum somehow.
Well,
guess.
at least he knows how to read and what boobs mean. So, moving along. I don't want him to be confused. Those aren't real, son. But, like most fantasies, it's better than real life.
Do we have anything else for Prisoner of Azkaban?
I mean, there's a ton of things I could go to. It's like one of the problems they had during filming was the ice. Was there ice when there's attack with the, what's it called?
The Dementors.
The Dementors are ice. They couldn't understand his thick Mexican accent because it was
Yes.
almost eyes.
Yeah,
As the pre-fit people were doing it, they kept thinking he was saying eyes,
yeah.
and they almost didn't do the ice. I have several different things, but I think that we've kind of beat the dead horse of. I feel, and we're going to get to the fourth one, which is my favorite one.
Yeah, same here.
What I feel as that movie, as a standalone movie, that, like I said, that third act really drags it down.
Yeah, it killed it.
It just drags it down. And I love, I mean, all the acting's great once again. All the characters are interesting. I just find the movie boring.
And we did not need shrunken heads.
Hmm?
I don't like the shrunken heads. They're not in the book.
Oh, the Drive the Bus?
Yeah, that's not in the book.
That's not in the book?
No.
Oddly enough, okay, but that is a mainstay if you go see it at Universal. The bus is there.
And
the
honestly,
Sugar Head
that's one of my favorite
Yeah.
scenes in the Harry Potter movies.
And
too,
that's what, and it is. It's probably That's. I just find it funny that they chose to build that and it's not in the book. Oh, okay.
Why don't the Muggles hear the bus?
I don't know.
Magic.
Yes,
Dumbass.
there you
Yeah.
go. Once again, if they gave that ring to the eagle, the movie would be over.
So should we wrap up and
think,
start
yeah.
on part 4 for on our second?
Yeah, probably because we are. All right, so thank you so much. That was part 1 of our Harry Potter series. Number 2 will be next week.
On our Christmas episode.
Basically, this is
Probably.
really, it's getting towards the holidays. Remember Patreon as we get closer to this. If you want to give the Bonehead, because this isn't cheap, is what I was going to say. This isn't expensive. It is expensive. That being said, please share us on your social media. We really, really, really need you, though, to subscribe on SoundCloud, iTunes, and then YouTube, basically in that order.
Yeah, and on iTunes, you'll look us up under Bonehead Humor.
And we'll try to fix that in the next couple of months. Thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed our part 1 of Harry Potter. Stay tuned for part 2 next week.
With a vengeance. And then we'll do part 3. Live free or die
Live
Potter.
free or die Potter.
Oh, God.
That's
you're
a horrible way to end this show.
And then part 4 called, I don't know, we're just cashing in at this point.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that's what they're doing. Thank you so much. Dobby, keep burning in hell.
Ah, you bastard.
Oh, that's my favorite
Oh,
speech,
that-
and I'm having trouble remembering what book it's in.
All right, so we're doing the one we talked about.
It's the 5th one.
Just remember how this works.
We ready?
Damn it.
We doing the promo first?
Oh no. Figured we'd just do the
Sorcerer's Stone, Chamber
Oh.
of Secrets.
You ready?
Ready?
Yep.
All right. Are we ready?
It's Leviosa, not Leviosa, Joe.